Hi, this is Angelina, and welcome to 7 Myths for 7 Days. Today is day number 2. It's my favorite myth of all 7, and the reason why is that this myth has given me more heartache and struggle in my life in trying to lose weight than any other. It's also the myth that is the hardest for my clients to wrap their minds around. So here's the myth. The myth is that counting calories will help you lose weight. Well, it is simply not true. Now, that would suggest that all calories are created equal, and they're not. But first, before I explain why, what is a calorie? Well, a calorie is a simple measure of energy, and food gives us energy. The energy that we use is similar to gas that we put in our car. It has our car go. Our calories have our bodies go. That's right. So why wouldn't it? You know, it makes sense. Isaac Newton, about a lot of years ago, created something called the law of thermodynamics. And what that indicated was that if you would eat the same amount of calories every day, you would not gain weight. And if you would eat less calories, you would lose weight. Well, it's logical, right? It makes perfect sense, but it just isn't true. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a physics briefer. Now, some of you may be familiar with physics. I certainly wasn't, but this analogy will really help to understand why calories are not all created equal. So I want you to consider, what is the difference between a feather and lead if you drop them in a vacuum? Which one would drop fastest? Give you a moment. Okay. So for those of you who said the lead would drop faster, you need a refresher course in physics. For those of you who said that they would drop at the same rate, you are right. In a vacuum, they would drop at the same rate. Now, if you took those same 2 items and you dropped them off of the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City, which one would drop faster? Yes, the lead would drop faster. The lead would drop faster because of something called air resistance. The air resistance keeps the feather afloat quite a bit longer. Now, air resistance is something that you can't see, you can't taste it, you can't feel it, but it's there, right? I mean, we're very clear it's there. Well, air resistance is similar to calories in many ways. Because when you put a calorie in a beaker in a laboratory, if we take 1,000 calories of kidney beans and set it next to 1,000 calories of a low-fat muffin and cola, they're the same thing in a laboratory. But when we put those into our body, they metabolize very differently. Now, the air resistance is similar to the body, because inside the body we can't really see and feel and taste what's going on, but it's very, very clear that one of those is utilized faster than another. So if we put the low-fat muffin and soda in our body, the sugars in those items are going to absorb very rapidly. They're going to increase our bloodstream. They're going to increase our insulin levels. And if we put in the kidney beans, they're going to be giving us sugar throughout the day in a long period of time. Now, why would that have anything to do with weight loss? Well, here's the thing about weight loss. If we put too many calories in our body that we are not using as energy, so if we're sitting at our computer and we have a low-fat muffin and soda, which has 1,000 calories, but those 1,000 calories come and hit our body all at the same time, many of those 1,000 calories are going to be stored as fat. Yes. Now, if we take the kidney beans and eat those, they're going to be given to us throughout the day, so we are going to be burning a lot of that food as fuel. So I want to give you 2 other examples of recent studies that have been done. And one is by my idol, Dr. Walter Willett. He's the head of the, what is he the head of? Public Health Fund in Public Health Committee at Harvard University, excuse me. He recently did a study for 12 weeks, and I'll show you a little bit closer here, where he had group 1. He wanted to see whether a low-fat diet or a low-carbohydrate diet would have an overweight body lose weight faster. So he took group 1. They had 55% carbohydrates, 30% fat, 15% protein. Then group 2, this is a low carbohydrate diet, so they had only 5% carbohydrates, 65% fat, and 30% protein. And group 3 had the same kind of food as the low carbohydrate group 2, but they added 300 extra calories. Now the results were astonishing because group 1, which is a low fat diet, they lost 17 pounds over the 12-week period. Now group 2 and group 3 lost an average about 23 pounds per person in the 12-week category. So you can see here that definitely a low carbohydrate diet indicated a larger weight loss than the low fat diet. But what was even more interesting is that in the group 3, having 300 more calories per day, it equals about 25,000 calories for the 12 weeks. Now, with Isaac Newton's law, that would have us gaining 7 pounds more, but this group actually lost more than the low-fat, same calorie group, which means that we can have more calories and less whole grain carbohydrates and more carbohydrates here and lose more weight. Now, one other thing I want to point to is that in this study, these carbohydrates were not whole foods, and in these two, they were, okay? Now, one more example. This is a study done by Dr. David Ludwig, and he took 3 overweight groups of children and had them have the identical number calorie breakfast. So you can see here we have instant oatmeal, we have steel-cut oats, and a vegetable omelet with fruit. Now, after each of these breakfasts, over this week period, he tested all of their blood sugar and their insulin levels. Now, what he also found was that after the children ate the instant oatmeal, they had 81% more food in the afternoon than the other 2 breakfasts. Steel-cut oats had 51%, and the vegetable and omelet with fruit tended to be the best kind of food. Now you can see all same calories, very different outcomes, okay? So the type of calorie has a big impact on how much weight you gain or how much weight you lose. That is right. Now, the reason that is that food talks to our body. Yes, you heard me. Food communicates with our cells and it tells the body what to do, whether to lose weight, to gain weight, to store cholesterol, not to store cholesterol. So we have to be very careful. What is it that we're putting in our body? Now, each of us needs a different diet. We are bio-individual, so some of you would need more protein, more carbohydrates, more fat than another. But the truth is, we all have basic operating principles when it comes to our metabolism. So I want to share the one most fundamental part of losing weight. The key piece is using and eating whole foods. Now, whole foods are things that are in their natural state, so they have never been changed. For example, you can see a whole avocado, we have a whole almond, they look similar, don't they? And a whole tomato. These things you can find in the grocery store, and they don't have a label on them, right? So most foods that have a label are not whole foods. And the reason whole foods are important is that they are food that our body recognizes. Now, our bodies have been around for a long time, and so have these kinds of foods. They also don't contain any hidden fats, any hidden chemicals. We'll talk about that later with some of the other myths. But they are foods that our body recognizes. Therefore, they are digested and utilized as fuel. So that concludes, myth number 2, which is that you can control your weight by counting your calories. It's not true, but you can control your weight by taking a closer look at what kind of calories you're putting in your body. So I'll see you tomorrow and for myth number 3. Bye-bye.